The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent or of the River District Association. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the True North Speaker Series. First, I want to say Happy New Year. We are glad you guys decided to continue to watch these series. They've been very impactful, and we're glad to kick off 2026 with none other than Dr. Carmina Richardson Eder. So you guys sit back, relax, get your pen, your paper out, because there's going to be a whole lot of notes that you need to take. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm gonna try my best to keep my composure. But I really believe that this episode is gonna be one for the book. So I'm excited. It's a conversation that a lot of women have really been asking about, to take that deeper dive into womanhood and womanism. So I think I'm really gonna be excited about this episode. I know I'm gonna be excited. So you ready?
Let's get it.
Let's kick the new year off right.
2026. And it's my birthday month.
Oh, Lord. Here we go with the birthday month.
My birthday month. Month. Let's get it. Let's get it.
So who is Dr. Carmina Richardson Eder?
We don't know yet because she's still becoming.
Okay.
We haven't gotten to that part that we fully know exactly who we are. Mm-hmm. We know that what is prepared for us will be us. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, that's not my issue. I have to operate in the season in which I am. Mm-hmm. And if I eliminate all the possibilities or just become stagnant in what I am, mm-hmm. Then I will miss some greatness. And so I am in the stage of the amness of me.
I like that.
The amness of me.
So before we started the role, she said, well, don't forget the Richardson. So tell me why it was so important to say the Richardson, because I want the people to know what you said, because I love it.
That was quick, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting that like question number 106.
Nope.
So my grandparents, Mabel and Bougie Richardson, raised myself and my brother. And they disrupted the narrative of their lives for us. Mm-hmm. Their children were grown. Their children were adults. Their children were out of the house. And then along come these two little people mm-hmm. That needed the nurturing and the care and the love and the responsibility that comes being put into place. And my grandfather used to say, all I have is my name. Ooh. Don't mess it up. All I have is my name. Don't mess it up. And as a child, first of all, my first name is long, Carmina. Then you got Richardson. So I was always last in the lunch line. I was last taking pictures. I was just last because R comes way after mm-hmm. A, right? And so when I went through life, I made a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. I did some things that perhaps would have messed up his name. Mm-hmm. But on May 15th, 2023, mm-hmm. when all in that season that what was accomplished, I was able to embrace mm-hmm. Richardson. And this brings the honor back to my grandfather and my grandmother for all they did.
I love it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I love it too.
Yeah.
And so it's Carmina, and my first name, it's officially changed on my license. It's Carmina Richardson is my first name. Mm-hmm. And then Eder is my last name. So Carmina Richardson is who I am becoming.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know you talk about your journey and one that's so much rooted in faith, family, and purpose. But when did you first realize that leadership was part of the AM?
Oh, that's an easy one, right? When I recognized that someone was following.
Ooh.
Right? Not necessarily in the physical sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when I recognized that there was a voice and someone was following. We have our children who listen to us. We have our family members who listen to us. When we go to church, we have those who listen to us. But when you have someone that will reach out to you after a couple of years and say, I remember you were,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I realized there was some leadership that was there because see, I'm one that believes that all of us are born leaders.
Right.
It depends on the nurturing and the experiences that brings that leadership to space. And only those who are bold and courageous
Mm-hmm.
will embrace being a leader. So when this woman came to me and said, several years ago, I heard you and you touched me and you helped to change my life. That's when I realized, hey, there's leader in me, right? So I embrace that and continue to, with the mantra of someone's always watching, to understand that someone's always watching.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to lead from there? Yeah.
So I'm ready to take a left.
Okay.
When you work at the Boys and Girls Club,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I remember, I don't even know, you probably don't remember, but when I walked in the Danville Club, because I was interviewing for a job at the Chatham Club,
Okay.
the interview was at the Danville Club, you stood out and you was talking in the middle of the games room. And I remember this little girl had walked up, and I can't remember her name, but you said, oh, hey, whatever your name is, and you're my favorite so-and-so, and you would say her name. She not realize that you was just saying her name.
Absolutely.
But whatever the trick to that.
Absolutely.
But you was putting her in the space of that she was important.
Absolutely.
And you told her that you was going to change. You're going to change the world.
Absolutely.
And it was just your greeting to her as she walked in the door. And I think those conversations that you begin to embed in people's head, and that was just my first impression of you. And I was like, okay, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. But also for her, it was, I know where I'm supposed to be. Why do you feel that's so important for you to do it? Because you do it for everybody.
Absolutely.
So why is that so important for you to do?
Absolutely. It goes back to the foundation in which I was raised.
Yeah.
My name was not an easy name to pronounce in the area in which I lived, in the public school system in which I went. And but my grandmother was, intricate in making sure that everyone knows. People would say, "Hey, Camilla, come in." And my grandmother would specifically say, "It's Carmina, Carmina." Right? And she said, "Get her name right." My grandmother, they were 60 years our senior, but my grandmother went with me to the middle school because I came home upset one day. And she asked me what was wrong and, anybody mess with me. And I was like, "Ma, they do that every day." Right. But my teacher said that she was just going to call me by some other name because she couldn't pronounce my name. And my grandfather was on dialysis and we had this big old LTD. Right. And so he drove her to the school system and went into the school system with her cane and said to the principal at that time, "Her name is Carmina. And if she can pronounce your name, you need to learn her name." So names are important.
Yeah.
Names are significant. Therefore, if a name is attached to the humanity of someone, you're just as significant.
Right.
I remember that child. I knew exactly who she is. And so everywhere I see, my children didn't get it till they were older, right? So I was like, "You're my favorite Christine in the whole wide world. You're my favorite Sarah in the whole wide world. Oh, you're my favorite Corbin in the whole world. Stephen, you're my favorite in the whole wide world." And until we got grown and started coming around the Thanksgiving table, they didn't realize that each of them were the favorite in the whole wide world. "Mama, you can't have all of it." I said, "Yes, I can," because each of us were created and designed differently, that there's a space enough in a mother's heart that you can continue to be my favorite. So when I meet people, I see the humanity of people and I attach that to your name and you become one of the favorite people in the world for me.
Yeah, because my daughter still said, "Nuh-uh, Miss Carmina said I'm the favorite Alicia farmer in
the whole wide world."
And I said, "You are, baby. You are the favorite Alicia farmer."
Absolutely.
To this day, though, she's 20. She still don't. Lily still don't get it.
She will get it now.
No, she won't. Every time she said, I was like, "Yes, baby."
Yes, call me anytime.
So your womanness identity is central to your work.
Yes.
I know it's not just your work, it's central to who you are. But how did you discover womanism and how has it helped you walk in the confidence that you walk in?
Okay, wow. So, life always has an opportunity for us to learn.
Yeah.
And regardless of how far you come or what you've accomplished, there's always going to be something that is going to just rock your world, and you're going to just roll with it. It was 2017 when I stepped into seminary that I understood the theology of womanism. We grew up in feminism, but when I was able to walk into this particular school of theology and hear the word womanist, to better understand that every day, wherever I show up, I am showing up as a Black woman who understands the transatlantic journey. I understand that I am deeply rooted with my ancestors who were forced to come into a place in which they were unknown to and unaware of, but were able to adapt and be resilient in that space. So womanism says that I'm a Black woman with trauma because of what happened on yesterday, but I'm going to embrace it today in order to journey with it tomorrow. So it is one of those things that I recognize that wherever I show up, I'm always going to show up as a Black woman. Right. And I can't, disregard that when I go into a space where there are people that don't look like me. I have to still show up just as confident as I would have if I were in place with my family. Right. And so that womanism, understanding that there are some things that happen in our past, and I don't have to carry them, but I do have to understand the importance of embracing my past, but not engaging with that past in order to meet a more prosperous future. So that's just who I am. Womanism for me is showing up as a Black woman everywhere I am.
How?
With the confidence that I have?
Yeah.
Just got it. Right before you come in, take a deep breath, count to 10, and just walk on in the door.
Yeah.
Literally. You just have to know. It's one of those things that's innate. It's like, I've got to just know who I am. And that's who I am. That's why in this season of the amness of me, that tomorrow I'm going to know a different part of me, right? The experiences of yesterday help me engage with tomorrow. And so
wait a minute, I like that.
You better get it down. Get it?
Right. Yeah. Because not to cut you off, but a lot of times, because what's crazy, we was just talking about it in the office as staff during our meeting, is how do we know what does yesterday meant for today?
Absolutely.
How do we know that?
Absolutely. The number one thing is to embrace it, right? There are some things that we can change, some things that we can control, but there are also things we cannot change and things we cannot control. Embrace it and be okay with it, regardless of what it looks like. I am still going to be a Black woman, regardless of what circumstances, regardless of what happens. I am still a Black woman, a confident Black woman, just because the Lord saw fit to create me, period. And whatever circumstance may come, continue to be consistent in who you are. It's one of those things that people would say masking, and you hear one way, you kind of like the wind, as my grandmother would say, you like the wind, don't know which way you're coming, don't know. Listen, once you embrace who you are and the beauty in which you are, and that has nothing to do with the outer appearance, but what's internally shows up on the outside, right? And so there's one of those things that when I can look in myself in the mirror, not just prepare myself for the day's journey, but literally look at who I see in the mirror and embrace the beauty from within, it's going to show up and it's going to be all over the place. This is just who I am, the amness of me.
So when you walk in the room and you embrace it, what when you walk in a room, you sit down, you embrace it, you confident, but it's not accepted?
You don't engage in that.
Gotcha.
Right? Instead of becoming a part of the environment, allow the environment to become a part of you.
I like that. Y'all got it? Because I like that, because one of the things when we had the Juneteenth event last year and the year before, a lot of people said, well, you talk about these episodes and you talk about economic development, you talk about the redevelopment of communities, you talk about collaboration, but you never talk about the womanness of these episodes. And I said, well, I know the perfect person that's going to take that deep conversation, and that always been you. And one thing you can nobody say is that you're not confident.
Absolutely.
Are there moments where you question that confidence on either letter, or too bold or not bold enough? Do you ever question that? And in those moments of questioning, if you do, how do you bounce back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So absolutely, yes, that sometimes it may seem a little too bold.
Yeah.
But then I have to ask myself, too bold for who?
Yeah.
Am I too bold for the people that are in the room that are uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Because it can't be me, because this is just me, right? Am I too bold for the conversation that's being held? Because the amness of me will remain the confident.
Mm-hmm.
I have found, though, that sometimes unless a person gets to know me, right, and not just the exterior, there was a gentleman that said to me when we were at the Boys and Girls Club, and this gentleman said to me, "You command presence when you walk into the room." And that made me then try to shrink, right? Because I at the time, I wasn't ready to accept who I am becoming, right? So immediately, because as a Black woman, that's what society says perhaps that you should do, is to shrink back because you're too big for the room. I had to understand that the room's too small for me.
Gotcha.
Right? So I will always show up as my authentic self, the genuine of me, right? And then that way I don't have to worry about what others think.
And I remember Henry Saxon. I don't know if you remember him, but he was over the Southeast Conference. And one thing he said about the reason why he liked coming to Danville and the Danville Boys and Girls Club, because you also made sure that the kids learned that, the staff learned that. So it wasn't just you walking in the room being who you are. You demanded it of your staff.
Absolutely.
And even the kids. And it was correction, but structure.
Absolutely.
And he was like, okay, I remember one time he said, well, why did you say that? You tell me, well, why did you say that? And I was like, that's the correct answer. And you said, for who? And you said, would you tell your daughter to say that? Yeah. And I said, no. You said, why would you say that? And I'm like, why are you correcting me in this room in front of this diverse group of people? And you had to look up, you said it in the room in front of this So that boldness, it ripples to everybody that you touch. And one thing I remember is not only did I understand that conversation, everybody else in the room understood that conversation, that you have a level of expectations for everybody to be their true, authentic self.
Everyone.
And it's okay to learn as you go, because a lot of things we might haven't been taught.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll never forget that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that concept comes from my grandparents again, right? So we would go to town once a month, right? We lived in the country. So we would go to town once a month, and we would all pile into the big LTD. We'd go to town. We were so excited we get to go to town. And my grandmother would say to me, don't go in here pulling everything off the shelf, because this is what I'm going to give. She pretty much got the same 5 things every single month when we went to Winn-Dixie, right, in town, because we grew everything else. We took care of everything else at home. And so if we messed up in that place, she says, I have to get you in the place so that you'll understand why.
Yep.
Right? I have to get you corrected in this space of knowing that when you're here, this is not what we're going to do. So we're in that space. And a lot of people will sometimes take that and they'll think, she's so hard. She was, you're embarrassing me. It's not that, right? It is one of those that helps us to continue to be bold and courageous, not only just as to be able to help a person see where they are, but when we speak words, we're speaking words into other people, whether they're at a place that they understand it or not, that can be harmful or helpful.
Right.
So we have to be able to encourage each other that wherever you are, let's get it right here. Let's understand it better right here. Whether I'm in a room full of others that don't accept who I am or embrace who I am, or even engage in who I am, or if it's in a place that I'm comfortable, right? The most interesting places for me are the places that are uncomfortable for me.
Right.
Because it challenges me to go into a space that I've never gone before, but still show up as my authentic self, right? And so when we have those conversations, it is meant to help encourage and to build, and knowing that someone's hearing you, that's the leader in you.
Yeah.
That's the leader.
And one thing I know for a fact that you're big on is accountability.
Ooh. That should have been my middle name, right? Now, not in that season, but now.
Because a lot of times that's what we having a lot of conversation about in now is accountability.
Yes.
How do you hold self-accountability versus accountability to others when you're in those spaces? Like, I'm holding myself to make sure that I'm being my authentic self. But when someone says or does something, where does that come from to say, wait a minute, let's have this conversation? Because that's the hardest thing to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Back in the day was okay. Nowadays, it's hard to say, wait a minute, there's an elephant in here.
Yeah. That elephant, that proverbial elephant that sits in the room, right? And nobody wants to talk about it, but you can't
call
move
it out.
Yeah. Somebody's got to, right? So why not me?
Yeah.
Right. So ultimately it comes down to that. Somebody's got to say something.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have a voice. Somebody's got to be bold enough, courageous enough, right? Have enough courage to say,
Yeah.
Right. If no one else is going to do it. And that probably came from the space that when I was in elementary school and I had questions to ask, but did not feel comfortable asking, and would go through. And then when someone else asked the same question, I could breathe a sigh of relief because, I really needed that, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that there was someone that needed something, now I look at it. Someone in here needs to ask the same question.
Right.
Why not me? Right?
Got you.
Yeah. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
So why not me?
Yeah.
All right. And it doesn't hurt that my birthday, right? By the way, here we go. Falls on one of the greatest, in my opinion, others, but in my opinion, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I am born on his birthday, right? What better way to honor his presence, right? Than to have that voice, to find that voice. He died in order that my voice could come alive. Right. Because I realized that somebody's got to tell the story. And if not me, then who?
Right.
And that's why I do it.
You have been invited to state and global leadership tables. How do you maintain authenticity in rooms not always designed for you?
So I love the HGTV shows, right? When you can get a sledgehammer and tear down a wall. If it's not designed for me, then I tear down that wall and build it, right? Not for me though, but for my amazing little Black granddaughters that are coming, because they need to have their own fight,
right? But
not this fight. So when I am invited to those spaces that, some may not know who I look like over the phone. Some may, someone else said, you need to invite her, and they couldn't say no to them. Instead of propping the door open, right? It's the old school, old country term. I take the door down, right? Because if I prop it open, someone could come and kick that, and then it closes back. But if I take the door down, then that room is no longer designed for me. It is designed by me.
And I like that because Crystal Cobb, she was one of the ones who said I have to fight this battle.
Absolutely.
So my kids don't have to fight this battle because they got their own battles to fight. So how do you know what is your battle? I struggle with that because I struggle with when do I say something?
It's in you.
Yeah.
Right. It's something that's internal, something that's just not going to let you be still. It's not going to let you be quiet. It's not going to, because normally if it's something that is going to bring harm, somebody's got to open their mouth.
Yeah.
Right. Someone, and life is about risk. And if we don't take risk, then you're not living a purposeful life.
Yeah.
Life comes along with opportunities, and with those opportunities are challenges. And with those challenges, someone's got to take a risk. So I know that my voice is heard when I have to fight a fight that may threaten the future of my granddaughters, right? I have to fight a fight that may threaten the future of my grandsons. I may have to fight a fight that threatens the future of our great-granddaughter. So in that space, it's something that's inside, rural Black Baptist church, some on the inside. Telling you go ahead. It's something on the inside that says, speak.
And I really want people to get this, because I never forget when I was at Avery, a professor told me everything is not a battle.
Absolutely.
Now, he didn't look like me. We weren't the same gender or race. And he told me everything is not a battle. And I always go back to that moment sometimes when it comes time for me to speak up. Because as well as I'm one to speak up. Sometimes I would people yeah, maybe you shouldn't have said that. And I was like, it's something in me that it felt the need to speak up and say it. And like you said, sometimes afterwards, somebody said, I was wondering the same thing.
Absolutely.
And they've been in the room longer than me, but he told me that. And I never forget, it was statistics. And we were talking about utilities, and we was doing the probability of light bills and everything. And I remember raising my hand. It's like, well, why are these utilities so high? And he was like, yeah, that's not the battle for this conversation. And I say, so when do we have that conversation? So how do you know when? You said it's rooted in you, and you don't want that and other people to fight that battle. But do you say, not this week, but I'm taking notes? Or
that was a key to me. That would have been a trigger. When he said not, then I'm going to say, why not?
That's
right?
Why not? Yeah, right.
And mine probably would come from a place of, I'm just going to challenge you and see what you got. And then it'll turn into something, right? Because when someone says no or not now, I've got to find out when, right? And why not now?
Right.
This may not be the time for you,
right?
But it's the time for me.
And that's what I want young people to understand.
Absolutely.
You determine the when.
Absolutely.
You determine the why. And a lot of times, this is my kids like, Mama, why you say so? Why? You got to.
Absolutely.
You got to.
Because
somebody has never said it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And no one has ever said it. It's going to be continually there.
Absolutely.
So if anything, I brought attention to it.
Absolutely.
Whether you answer it or fix it or do anything about it, attention has at least been brought to it.
Absolutely. I look at that in the sense of being an ally, right?
Right.
Ally says, I'm just going to go along with you to just show you that I'm going to support you. And then I move from a space of allyship to advocate. Advocate says that I'm going to have a voice where maybe someone else may not. But now I'm in this space. That's why we don't know who we are, because we're becoming. Now I'm in this space of activism.
Yeah.
Not only going to speak about it, but I'm going to be about it.
Yeah.
Right? Someone's got to do something other than talk.
Right.
We have got to do something. Now, I may not be the one that will march in the street. I may not be the one but there's going to be work that is going to be done, and it's going to be intentional.
Yeah.
And normally it comes from the voices of people that may not look like me.
Right.
Who will tell me no. What if someone tells them no?
Right.
Change will take place. Why can't it happen for me?
Right.
Right. So, that professor, as soon as he said that, I got a question.
And I like it when we was in a room and we was in a board meeting one time, and you made a statement. So you guys explained to me why we don't want to invest this funding into X, whatever that was. And somebody's like, well, when they donated the money, they wanted to donate the money for this. And he was like, well, I didn't see that on the check. They gave us a check, and they trust you hired me to do the job. And I feel the best way to spend this funding is this. And then you immediately said, let's call them.
Absolutely.
Let's call them and see.
Absolutely.
I never forget that. He was like, let's call them and see, are they okay with it?
Yeah.
And then he was like, we'll figure that out and we'll get back with you. And we spent the money how the program need to be spent for the benefit of the kids. So a lot of times I want people to know it's okay to challenge the system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you?
I know.
We ain't going there. Next question. Did I tell you it's my birthday?
Yes.
Okay.
Your birthday.
Just wanted to remind you.
Why is maternal and infant health such a key part of justice work? and especially for Black communities.
Wow and wow and wow.
Because that's one of the things we talk about on North Main for the redevelopment of North Main. A lot of people in the community talk about Black maternal health. And when we have these collaborations with Virginia Rural Health Association, and we have a collaboration with the Health Collaborative, and how can we see fit to put this in this narrative, Black maternal health keep coming up. Even from an economic standpoint, how does, like with the health systems and everything, how is this economically affecting our community? How do you that fit into the mold of who you are, the work you do?
Absolutely. It is almost to say that it is a silent genocide. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't provide the health and wellness to the Black maternal health, mm-hmm. that we can bring forth healthy Black children, mm-hmm. to help to secure our future. Mm-hmm. So it is almost, when it comes down to justice, that is the injustice in that. Mm-hmm. That it's almost saying, we're not going to provide for you, mm-hmm. the health care that you need in this particular area. When you live in an area where you have to drive about an hour to give birth, one thing that I remember about the birth, the pain, the pain mm-hmm. will come and go. You don't really, but one thing I remember is that I didn't have to drive an hour.
Right.
And when my children were ready to come, they came.
Right.
I can't prepare to drive an hour.
Right.
I can't prepare to hope that my doctor is there. So when it comes down to the Black maternal health, what I see that it says as a part of a system,
right,
that says it needs to be dismantled and rebuilt to fit the purpose, very similar to the check that was donated to us. Mm-hmm. Who's building these systems?
Right.
We're not at the table. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I do know, as we mentioned earlier prior to coming, Shirley Chisholm said when in her presidential run, mm-hmm. That says, if they don't have a seat for you at the table, bring your own folding chair. Mm-hmm. It's time for us to bring our folding chairs. It's time for us to be able to set up camp and make sure that we're at the tables and that our voices are heard in the manner in which they deserve to be heard. Mm-hmm. Because no one can build a house that I dream of unless I'm a part of
the dream. Yeah, conversation. Yeah.
I need to be at the very first drawings of this. But if you build this and say, this is what you asked for. So the same thing when it comes down to our maternal health. We have to be in these spaces to say, this is what we need. We have to be able to allow people to hear our voices when my body doesn't feel right now. Mm-hmm. You can't put me in this group that, oh, you're just having gas, right? Mm-hmm. As pregnant women, we have gas a lot. You can't just say that I'm having. I know that there's something different. Mm-hmm. And I need you to hear me. And I need you to do the work that you've been called to do in order to help to save the future of our children.
And I look at that because, I love metaphors. When we talk about the birth of North Main, mm-hmm. the redevelopment of North Main, and those are the same conversations. Yes. It's a different now in there, but it's the same conversations. Yes. And when we have the North Main visionary meetings, they talk about when we first start having meetings, the beginning of the conversation is like, oh, what do you want us to do? Mm. What questions do you want us to ask? Because that's what always came. A consultant come in, mm-hmm, ask them a bunch of questions, and then still figure out what to do for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This was different. It was like, well, what do you guys want to do?
Absolutely.
How do you want this neighborhood to look? And let's work with us to make it happen, that you're continually on the journey. It's just not a survey and done. Yes. It's like, stay on this journey with us to make it happen.
Yes.
And I don't know if you drove through North Main and how fast it is redeveloping and how fast people begin to respect the people at the table. And I think it's because we're birthing the people for them to understand that you deserve.
Absolutely.
You have earned.
Absolutely.
And you have the opportunity to do.
Absolutely.
So this is one of the hardest questions I think I have ever asked in the 3 seasons that we've done this. And I'm scared about your answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to ask that.
If you could redesign economic systems, where would you start?
I asked you, I can't stand tonight. I got to sit. Okay. I would start by dismantling mm-hmm. the system in which someone else created. Mm-hmm. There's this narrative that I'm supposed to just go along to get along.
Right.
There's this narrative that says I'm supposed to accept what people give me. There's this narrative said that I'm supposed to be all right.
Right.
And I can't be because I don't know how the plan started.
Right.
And you're expecting me to conform to fit into a box where I don't belong.
Right.
So we have to start dismantling the systems, understand first and foremost that it is not the individual.
Right.
It is not the humanity of us. It is not an opportunity for us to tear each other down, but an opportunity for us to come collectively into this space and say, that's not for us.
Right.
That they not like us. So why should you design something that you know nothing about? We are afraid of having real conversations.
Right.
Right. There is an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, link arms and let's do this thing together.
Yeah.
Nowhere does it say gender, culture, race, economic status, familial status. Nowhere does it say that. It says, let's go together. And we all need one another.
Right.
But because we see this bodysuit that we wear, and some of us lack the confidence that others have, then this ugliness of jealousy jumps in. This ugliness of greed jumps in. And we're eventually dismantling or tearing each other apart, but the system is still there.
Right.
We've missed the mark.
Right.
Where would I begin? Dismantling the system. How do I do that? With my voice, showing up and being present in places where they say I should not be.
And then what's the next step?
The next step, let me see. Go get some coffee and, and I don't drink coffee, but, not giving up. Right. So we're good to start conversations. People are good to have these committees and start. And the first one, everybody shows up and then you schedule again. And then you got half the people and you show up and then eventually it's just you. Right. But if you are the only one that's there, keep coming.
Yeah.
You've got to show up and you've got to have the strength to endure.
Yeah.
Right. I said this to a former coworker and she would always say, oh, Carmina, you're so strong. Oh, Carmina, you're so strong. And I got to a place of understanding that I'm living up to her expectation of being strong. And I said to her, and I said, Jen, I am one of those who will say what I need to say. And I need to say to you in this moment, stop calling me strong. There is nowhere that I can see that I have been built of strength. But it does say to me that the God that I serve will give me the strength to endure. So I may not need as much strength today as I needed on yesterday. And I definitely won't need a lot tomorrow because I made it through today. Right. So that helps to build my faith. And so when we show up, we've got to have the strength and the courage to show up if no one else does. Because remember, as a leader, someone's always watching. Always.
So this leads me perfectly into this question. What barriers do women, especially Black women, face in entrepreneurship? And how can communities, especially in the Denver region, better support them? And not just entrepreneurship, community engagement, redevelopment. How do you see the barriers the women face?
When I think of that, one of the invisible barriers is that there's no invitation. We got to be invited somewhere before we go somewhere. But what if there's no invitation?
Right.
And everybody else is there. But because no one said to me, come, I feel that I don't belong.
Right.
However, if this is where I live, this is where I engage with family and friends, this is how I see a thriving community to happen, even if I'm not invited, because I'm here, I'm going.
Yeah.
Right. So our main barrier is ourselves.
Gotcha.
Right? Because we're expecting someone to say, come. We have got to have that courage, that confidence to show up as this womanist, wherever I am, regardless if someone asks me or not. That's Shirley Chisholm. They're not going to invite you to the table when they're not building something to benefit.
Yeah.
They're not going to invite you to the table when they're trying to bring your folding chair. At least you're in the space. And even if you have to, excuse me, pardon me, coming through. Excuse me, pardon me, coming through. Excuse me, here I am. I made it. Right?
Yeah.
Show up. Surprise them. Be the element of surprise. Be the unexpected, because they're not expecting you there because they didn't invite you there. But when you show up, someone's got to acknowledge that you're there.
This is another hard question. And someone sent it to me because they saw you on the poster, and their thing was, what if when people show up, that's not the right fit for the representation and not doing it justice? How do you then tell that person you not need to be the voice? What does that look like? Because a lot of times we want to hold a lot of other people accountable for what goes on in communities like North Main, except sometimes when the people in North Main are not doing what they're supposed to do. How do you then say, you guys want people to change, but you yourself are not doing what you're supposed to do? How do those conversations go? Because a lot of times it's the not know, right? We know that, and then it's the not do. So how do you have those conversations when you're almost eyeballing the people that do look like you?
Absolutely. I think it doesn't always boil down to having words. I think to showing up. Sometimes we think we have to fix stuff by having conversation, but my presence at times will speak louder than those words. So we model that.
Yeah.
Right? And here I am back to my grandmother. My grandmother would say, not in the context that we're speaking now, but she says, I can show you better than I can tell you. So sometimes I just have to show up so that others will see me. And I continue to show up and they continue to see me and now trust me.
Gotcha.
And I continue to show up and they see me, they trust me, they follow me.
Gotcha.
So not all the time do you have to have words, because when we, again, battle against each other, we're not understanding what's inside of us. That there are many times that you don't have to say a single word, but your actions will speak louder in that space. I can't find myself going into a space in which I do not live and try to become the voice for the people that live there.
Right.
But I can show them that I'm there.
That you're there.
Yeah. No words. That's it.
Okay, so tell me, Carmina, what does self-care look like in the midst of all of this work?
Stop playing, because see, that's one of the things that I don't shy away from. Self-care for me, and this may, self-care for me is taking a 2-hour drive to either get a massage or Petty and Manny.
You do like to drive.
Alone.
You do like to drive.
That's my self-care.
Yeah.
It's just me in the car with God, that we can have our own conversations. We can decompress. We can get all of it out. We can talk about who we need to, what we need to, and be okay with it. By the time we get there and get ourselves settled in, guess what? We refresh, we restore, we renew. We're ready to go back and try it again. Every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Every 2 weeks. That is part of my self-care journey. And I know some people's like, it is my self-care journey that we asked about. And we all need to find a space in which we can just embrace it. And regardless of what people say, what people think, this is what helps to restore me in order that I can continue the fight.
Tell the people how important it is to be restored, though. Because I think we talk a lot about self-care, but we don't talk about the depths of why it's so important.
Absolutely.
Why is it so important to you?
For me, and it goes back to an adage that you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And if I'm empty, if I'm depleted and I'm still running on fumes, I'm not doing anything but hurting myself and hurting others.
Yeah.
Not only hurting self, others, but also the cause, right? Yeah. And what we have to do is we have to show up in a space that others are watching us. So self-care is a part of this journey. And we have this understanding that we're supposed to always be busy. We're always supposed to be doing something, or we're not productive. My self-care journey every 2 weeks is very productive. And the nails look good, right? And I'm not one of those, because I know some will, like, I don't do my nails in the wintertime. They seal your feet all year. You don't have to work as hard in the summer if you maintain. That is who I am.
You said they steal your feet
all year. All year. Take care of them.
What advice will you give women who feel called to lead but are burning themselves out trying to be everything to everyone?
Oh, that's it. First of all, recognize that you cannot be anything to anyone if there is no you.
Yeah.
Right? We are not called to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Understand your call. Understand your purpose and walk in that purpose. We're not here to have people like us. We're not here to have people dislike us. Our goal is to fulfill our purpose-driven life. And I am a firm believer that God is not going to give you what doesn't belong to you. It may present itself, but you have the option to say no. Mm-hmm. We cannot be everything to everybody, because that's not who we're created to be.
How you say no?
That's God's job. That's God's job, not mine. And how do I say no? Mm-hmm. Watch this. No.
That's it.
That's it. That's because I am confident in who I am. And that's because I understand that there's only so much that I have been asked to do. Mm-hmm. And so the rest, no.
How do you cipher? Okay, yes, this is no. How do you cipher? How do you feel purpose?
Yeah, I thought we were going to pivot. Purpose to me is aligning my will to what God's called me to do. Mm-hmm. And if it is out of God's will, I'm out of alignment. Mm-hmm. And if you ever driven a car out of alignment,
I have.
Pull. And if it's out of alignment on this side, it's going to pull. And you buy a tire, you have to buy one tire because this one bald, because it's Yeah. So who wants to be pulled in spaces that you don't have to be pulled into, as long as you're aligned with the call of God?
And look, this resonated with me because my dad was a mechanic. Mm-hmm. And when your car is in alignment, you can almost just let go.
Let go.
Yeah.
And it's going.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we do that just to see if it happens. Mm-hmm. Right? We were that self-driving car before there was a self-driving
car. Yeah. I like that.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you feel pulled, that's not perfect.
That's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me.
So, no.
As long as I'm aligned.
Yeah.
And it feels aligned, I'm doing something.
It's that simple.
The moment that I feel that I'm being pulled one way or the other, I'm out of line with what God has called me to do. And my answer becomes no. Mm-hmm. Just as simple.
What moment in your life tested your faith and your belief the most, and what did it reveal about your purpose?
There are so many moments that may have tested my faith. And usually I can equate those moments of me not knowing faith. Right? I would say that the pivotal point in my life was when my husband was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. My mother was going through the first round of breast cancer, and we got a call that says my brother was murdered in that same time frame. That tested my faith, but not enough that I denounced my faith. I laugh when I say that because I say I wasn't all the way saved back then, but I had enough faith to say, God, I need you.
Yeah.
That helped me to increase my faith because my husband is still living 16 years after they told him he would die. My mother is still living after going through some other health challenges. And I'm at peace with my brother. I'm at peace at a space that I was able to forgive the young man who did it so that I can move on with my life.
And the reason why I asked that question in this space, and we're talking about economic development, the reason why I asked that question, because a lot of people don't understand you still worked.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You still did community work.
Absolutely.
You still did youth development.
Absolutely.
You still was a mom.
Absolutely.
You still did all of that.
Yep.
And that's why I try to, it's not about the faith.
Absolutely.
I knew that would get the answer that I wanted.
Absolutely.
But I want people to understand you still maintain, not all days was good days.
Absolutely.
That's not what I'm saying. But you still maintain footage to get the work done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my focus, again, goes back to the purpose for my life, aligning my will with God. It is never for me to just go and give up, to sit in a corner and say, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
That is not a part of the purpose for my life. And to be aligned says that I may not be able to work the 5 days out of a week,
right,
but I can work 2 days out of a week. The alignment says that I may not be happy, but I've got joy and I've got peace. So even though the tears may come, even though the questions may come, even though the not understanding or not wanting to face that moment in that specific time, it still said to me, you're aligned because there's purpose for your life. You're not going through this just to go through this. I believe that everything that we go through, every opportunity, every experience that we deal with, even those that are challenging to us, there's purpose behind that. We just have to be able to find that purpose in that space. Yeah.
I don't even know what to ask next.
Let's go easy for 300, Alex.
I don't know if this is easy or not because you take the questions and make them hard. I'm not making the questions hard. You make the questions hard.
No.
When you find peace and acceptance, how do you still continue to fight? Because sometimes, I'm going to be honest, when it's like, whew, I can breathe. I want to rest there and stay there. How do you say, okay, breathe, rest, peace, move forward? How do you do that? Because a lot of times people get comfortable. And you say you like to live in a space of being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
How do you move? When do you say, okay, this is enough peace? How do I continue? What does that look like?
I don't think there's ever going to be enough peace for me because I'm reminded that there's peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't have all understanding.
Oh, that's what that means? I never knew what that meant.
So until I get to the next place of understanding that, but yet still knowing that there's another
more thing to learn
and more, right? It's almost like this space of excellence, right? So my current president CEO has this space of we're moving forward in excellence, not perfection, because we'll never be perfect. But excellence says I'm excelling.
We got to give Miss Katrina a shout out. So yeah,
absolutely. So if you don't know Katrina Carter, I encourage you to come on down to Tri-County,
and go back to
season one. Yeah, you just need to rerun though, right? Bring it back. Remind you of who she is and the amazing space in which she creates for all of us. So as she helps us to understand that as we move forward in excellence, we are excelling, right? We're not trying to reach perfection.
Right.
We're just trying to show up differently today than we did on yesterday.
And I like that because not only is a thing for you and you guys, but it's also setting the standard for others to come to follow.
Absolutely.
I never thought of it that way.
That's leadership, right?
Right. Oh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And leaders don't have to look behind to see who's following because I'm right there with you.
Right.
When we get into a space
Mm-hmm.
that we lead and not journey with,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I kind of have to take the leadership and kind of question it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to be right here in the midst. I can be a leader right in the midst of you. A leader will say that I'm journeying with you, that when you fall, I don't have to come back and help you. I can help you right there.
Yeah.
A leader says that I'm going to let you take me where you want to go. I'm going to journey with you, not take you where I think you need to go.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So that peace, until we get all the understanding, we should always seek peace.
Yeah.
And when we find that moment of peace, rest, breathe, that's the key. You're breathing, so there's a next.
Oh, you talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but what legacy do you hope your work leaves for your children, grandchildren, and the community you serve?
I thought about that for a long time. I thought about that for a very long time.
See, you making this hard. I'm not making it hard.
It's very challenging because of the concept of legacy.
Yeah.
It's very challenging when I think of a space that my children will not see me.
Mm-hmm.
It's very challenging for me to recognize that life is but a vapor.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that my legacy happens as my life happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think most importantly, I want my children and those people that I've had the opportunity to be in space with to understand the importance of embracing who we are, engaging what's to come,
mm-hmm.
and enjoy life.
You know, I think that's kind of what Mike Tyson said when they asked him about his legacy. And he was like, oh, I don't care what they say when I'm not here. It's what I'm doing while I am.
Yeah. It's that in the meantime.
Yeah.
From 1969, right? Yeah. It's that in the meantime, that
right.
moment in between, that space that rests on a tombstone, that moment from sunrise to sunset. Mm-hmm. That's what legacy is.
Right.
Right? That I don't have to get to a place that I remember when we can journey and embrace and journey right now in it.
Yeah.
That's true. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really said that.
Yeah.
That gives that. What should the next generation of women leaders never apologize for?
For being their authentic selves.
Yeah.
To being who we are.
Yeah.
Right? Created in an image of a God that is so vast that none of us will look alike, none of us act alike, all of us have our special qualities about ourselves, to know that someone loves us just enough that starts to weave us and knit us before we're in our mother's womb.
Yeah.
That makes us authentic.
Right.
I don't need a patch to say, number 165 or, I am that authentic being in which I was created to be.
And I don't have to apologize.
I am unapologetic who I am.
When everybody was sending me your name, I've worked with you forever and we've been friends forever. So I was like, okay, people just gonna think, oh, I know Carmina, that's why I picked you. But people were sending me your name.
Oh, wow.
And I knew why. And I'm glad you said yes. How you say yes. So thank you for saying yes. I want to first say that. And you answered a lot of questions that sometimes people are just afraid to answer, So I want to say thank you for answering those questions and adhering to the people that's been asking them. So tell me, as we close this up, what is your favorite scripture or prayer or mantra? One of those things that whenever those times get hard or tough or even easy, what you can go to.
For me, it was what God spoke to me about 20 years ago. You're good where you are, but you're great where I need you to be. I can be good in anywhere, right? But I can be great and not necessarily with the societal definition of great, but I can be used that again aligns with the purpose and the will of God in serving God's people.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. We can be good wherever we are.
Yeah.
But if we want to be great, it's where God needs us to be at that time. And that's that inside. You need to say something. You need to be here. You need to be present. That moment of understanding that ultimately it's not what I want. It is what God has called me to.
You guys heard it here at the table, the True North Speaker Series. Thank you, Dr. Carmina Richardson Eder, for saying yes. I appreciate you. I respect you. And happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to be in this space and again, serving God's people.
So see you guys next time, the True North Speaker Series. Happy New Year.